Hey, good day, I guess I should say, since this can be watched at any time. But good day from Bethel Church in Redding, California. Excited to be here. Excited that Nathan and Lisa have asked me to do this. Yeah, so let me tell you a little bit about who I am. I was Nathan's pastor when he was in first year BSSM, and Lisa interned for me. And so, super excited to do this for them. We're going to talk about how to lead small groups. One of the beautiful things about leading a small group, and I mean, a small group can be 3 people. I mean, I consider my revival groups small groups of about 70 people. So it just depends on what you're comfortable with. But one of the beautiful things about creating an environment where people can learn to be themselves is one of the most beautiful things that you could ever be a part of, in my opinion. Um, I am known for um, quickly creating connection within a group. And lots of people, pastors especially in our environment, would come up to me and say, Marlene, how do you get them connected so fast? So within the first 3 weeks of school, um, I have my revival group super connected, and it's because it's what I model. So, for example, 3 weeks into school, we go to a retreat. And at that retreat, I share my story. And then I invite them into a level of vulnerability. Invitation is the key word here. It's an invitation into vulnerability. And so, what I do is I ask them to lay on the floor and soak for about 10 minutes and ask the Lord why He brought them here. They have a reason why they think they're here, but let's find out why they're here now that they're here. And so, what I found began to happen was that people began to come up front by invitation again and share their deepest, darkest secrets, some of which they've never told anybody. And what happens when that happens in a room is it's like an invitation into um, a very personal area of someone's life. And it causes a bond to occur. Remember, vulnerability creates family. And what you're trying to do at some level is create a level of connection that may model family. And so what happens is we sit there and we minister and we pray for people as they come up to share, again by invitation only, because you can't force people into vulnerability. That's not vulnerability, that's control and sometimes manipulation. And so we don't want that to be a part of our small group. Um, so I invite them up and they share, we minister, and um, our 2 hour meeting ends up being 8 hours long. I mean, we're at a retreat, right? And we walk into the room strangers and we walk out of the room developing family. And it's really beautiful. And what I have found is that as people share, other people get to come alongside and champion. Other people get to come along aside and um, bring healing, bring encouragement, and that just bonds people. So, one of the first things you want to do when you're creating a small group is you want to cast vision. Um, when I do it with my big group, I write on the board, okay, um, this is what we don't want in our family. You can call it whatever you want. This is what we do want, and um, and then have them define what they want it to look like. Because once you get them to define it, they can buy into it. You can define it for them, which I do at some level, but inviting them into the process to help build it will develop ownership. So casting a vision for this is where we're going, this is how I see it going, what do you want to see? Um, Again, creates ownership, creates bonding, and then I would share your story. Hey, this is how I got here. Now, remember, you're trying to develop when this first happened to me and I didn't know what to do with the phenomena of people telling me their deepest, darkest stuff, I contacted Danny Silk and I said, Danny, I need to have a conversation with you because I have this phenomenon following me around and I actually don't know what to do with it. And so it had happened in my revival group. And then I went over to speak at our discipleship school on the coast, and the same thing happened. And they ended up shutting down school early so that people could just go process with the Lord and process with each other what had happened in that meeting that morning. And so one of the beautiful things that Danny said to me, he goes, what are you afraid of? And I said, I'm afraid of making a mess and walking out the door. And he said, well, he said, unless when I go someplace to speak, unless a culture of safety has been established, people aren't going to share at that level. So you want to create a culture of safety for your small group, one where they can come in and go, oh my gosh, I had the worst day ever, and talk about their day instead of walking in the door and saying, yeah, it's all good, I'm fine. That doesn't build community. You want to create a safe place where they feel like they can share their heart and it stays within the group. So establishing those healthy boundaries for your group. What's shared in here doesn't leave. Only talked about here, not talked not talked about outside of this group. Those are some of the things that you're going to want to establish when you start a small group. One of the I've pulled my notes up now. 3 goals that you want to have. You want to build an environment where people can feel safe. So building connection, leadership, you learning the skills of leading a group, of asking powerful, impacting questions, and accountability. A lot of times in the church, we view accountability as, let me tell you about your disability. Let me tell you what's wrong and how you're doing that wrong. In actuality, it's not that way at all. It's let me hold you accountable to your abilities, not your disabilities. Well, that was interesting. The lights automatically shut off. Um, Again, accountability. You're going to want to be able to hold people accountable to their abilities and the greatness that God's put inside of them. As a leader, the one thing I'm looking for in people is I'm looking for the gold. I'm looking to call out the gold in them. So, what do I see in them? What do I see that God's put in them? The giftings, the talents, the abilities, and calling those things out. Because people tend to focus on their disabilities, what they're not good at, and thus they grow that in their lives instead of the things that they are really good at. So, for example, when I have new students come in, we have registration, they ask us to read their applications. And I don't read them before they come because I don't want to know anything about them other than their name. So that when they come and when I meet them, I prophesy over them and I have the opportunity to tell them, hey, this is who God sees you as. This is the gifting that I see in you, and this is where I feel like the Lord wants you to go. First of all, the one thing that does, it connects them to the heart of God for their journey. Second, it connects my heart to their heart, because when you prophesy the heart of God over someone, it bonds you to that person. And so what we're doing is, again, building connection. So let's break that down a little bit. Hopefully the light won't turn back off. I'll keep waving my arms so it can see me. Connection looks like intimacy. Danny Silk always says, "Into me you see," is intimacy. It's about being known. It's about valuing the people around you. It's authenticity. I have such a high value for authentic leaders. No, don't stand and tell me an answer because you need to have an answer. Be honest with me and tell me what you really think. Also, tell me it's okay as a leader to say, I don't know. Hey, I don't have an answer for that. Let me get back to you. It's okay. Um, Giving and receiving, understanding, trust, intentionality, those are all the key components for building connection. Again, vulnerability. Um, there is a big difference between vulnerability and transparency. Transparency says, I can stand in front of you and say, here's the details of my life. I was molested from the time I was 3 till I was 15, started doing drugs and drinking at the age of 12. My husband had 7 affairs in our marriage. I can say all of those things, and that's being transparent. But when I say to you, I'd love for you to speak into this of what I'm sharing, that's being vulnerable. And the root word of vulnerability is vulner, which means to wound. So you're letting people close enough and deep enough in that they have the ability to wound you. That's what vulnerability means. So you want to use, again, create that safe place. You want to be able to learn how to trust those around you on who is safe to be vulnerable with and who is not safe. That's why it's going to be really important for you to create the family values, per se, the core values of your group, so that when the Bible says when we have trials, not if we have trials. So I guarantee you'll have trials in your small group, and it's going to grow you. So make sure that you're looking at anything that goes wrong within your small group as opportunity to grow as a leader. Those having a group that gets along great and has no issues is really beautiful, but it actually really doesn't grow you that much. It's the when you have to lean in instead of pulling away to people and learning their stories and looking at, oh, I see why you act that way. Oh, I see why you respond in that manner, because this is your story. So, yeah, so intentionality, if you have a small group, I'm imagining probably no more than 15 people for your small groups, maybe quite a bit less than that. Get a group text going. Hey, thinking about you today. If they come into your mind, text them. Hey, just want you to know I was thinking about you. Hey, shooting up a little prayer for you right now. Those little things truly can be life-changing when you're trying to build community and building connection. Here's what leadership looks like for you as the leader. It looks like influencing, serving, empowering, inspiring, and covering. Those are the things that are the qualities of leadership. I love that John Maxwell says this, because I tell my interns all the time, listen, you're here to love people. You're here to love people well. John Maxwell says you can love people without leading them, but you cannot lead people without loving them. So get the heart of God for your people. Get the heart of God. Realize my job as a leader is to serve them. What is the best way that I can serve them? Doesn't mean you're going to run to their house and do their laundry every day. It just means, how can I best serve them in the capacity that I have? Healthy boundaries around your leadership is going to be a really good key for you. Serving is, when they walk in the door, you connect with them, you greet them. Hey, can I get you a chair? Can I get you something to drink? Just remember that Jesus was the greatest servant of all, and Jesus is our model. And so we love the way he does, we serve the way he does, we lead the way he does. All right? If you don't know how Jesus leads, then I suggest you get into your word and get that figured out. Let's see. I'm going through my notes here. One thing you want to do as a leader is ask really powerful questions. So your questions are going to be along the lines of, it's not, hey, how was your day? And you can use this in your family because this is really good communication skills. It's, hey, tell me what you loved most about your day today. Ooh, tell me one thing you didn't like about your day today. Questions like, hey, what is God speaking to you? What season are you in? What do you feel like are your strengths and your struggles right now? Just questions that they have to answer with a sentence and not a yes or a no. Good. Yeah, maybe. Also, one of the things you're going to want to do is you're going to want to understand the personality types of your group. Are they introvert? Are they extroverted? If they're introverted, you're going to give them a little bit of time. You're going to come to them and say, hey, in a couple of minutes, I'm going to ask you to share on this question that I have. Just wanted to give you some time to think about it. Those are really kind things to do for people who are introverts because they need a few minutes to figure out what they want to say. Putting them on the spot immediately tends to shut them down. So have grace when it comes to who in your group. Those that are the extroverts that can tell you the whole life story in one conversation and can just talk and talk and talk. Those are the ones you're going to have to put healthy boundaries on. Hey, you got 2 minutes to give me your answer. These are all just really easy ways to manage a group. One thing you're going to do is develop as a personal, you want your personal growth always developing in your leadership style. So, growing in your self-awareness of how you lead. I know that as a leader, it's hard for me to let people serve me. And so I have to make myself let people serve me. I have to, and anybody who knows me knows this is one of my weaknesses is, yeah, I can do it on my own, but I can't do it on my own and I need people with me. But knowing that, when I have my new team come in every year, I'm like, hey, you need to know this about me. It's hard to let people serve me. So push me if you're trying to do something for me and I'm giving you a little bit of a, what's the word? A little bit of pushback. You're going to have to push me into it. I'm getting better. But, it's okay to have weaknesses as a leader. It's okay. We just pull in the people around us that can fill in the weaknesses. It's a beautiful thing. Ask your own self as a leader these kinds of questions. Where are you growing in? What is stretching you right now? Are you taking risks? You see, the thing is you don't want to speak to your group and teach to your group something that you're not doing yourself. That's where the hypocrisy comes in. That's where you're not building safety and you're not building trust with your group by not doing the things that you're requiring of them. So if you're asking them to be vulnerable, you're going to lead in vulnerability. If you're asking them to take risks, say, hey, this is how I took a risk this week. I saw this person with a walker and I stopped and asked them if I could pray for them. You're going to push them the direction that you're going yourself, if that makes sense. Can you ask a question differently to lead your small group in a specific direction? So be thinking here's the direction I want them to go, and what are the questions I need to ask in order to get them to that place? How are you going to pull out the golden people? Especially the ones you don't immediately connect with. If you have someone who has a little bit of a victim mentality in your group, how are you going to lean into that with healthy boundaries to help them to become a powerful person? Will you be bold and direct, yet confronting an issue? Here's the deal. If there's things happening in your small group and it is depleting the connection in your group, you're going to want to address that. So most of us hate confrontation. But the problem with confrontation is it can be done in a really beautiful, healthy way, dripping with love. but most of the time it's been modeled with frustration and anger, and those are never healthy ways to confront. I confront people all the time. Hey, help me to understand why is a really good way to start a confrontation statement. Help me understand why you're late to small group every week. Listen intently. Okay, what I'm hearing you say is this. Make sure that you're understanding what they're saying. Um, and then, hey, I would love for you to be on time. It really messes up our meeting when we have to wait till you get here, or things have to be repeated because you've come in late. Don't be afraid to have healthy boundaries for your group and to be able to confront people. I tell my third years, hey, if you have a difficult student, I don't want you pulling back. I want you leaning in and trying to understand. Those are the qualities of a really good leader. Yeah, I understand I'm going to have 70, 75 people in a group. I'm not going to connect with all 100% of them, and I'm okay with that. You have to be okay that I can't be everything to everybody. But if you give permission for other people to do that in the group that can connect, beautiful. There's connection happening. Does that make sense? I hope this is helpful. Accountability. Here's what it looks like. Holding someone accountable to their ability, not to their sins. Setting the standard. Encouragement. Belief. Most people just want somebody to believe in them, and here goes my light again. Darn it. Again, cultivate an atmosphere where accountability naturally occurs. Lead by example. Grow accustomed to giving and receiving feedback. One of the hardest things to do to the people that you're serving or your team is to open yourself up for feedback. Hey, Marlene, when you did this, that really hurt me. I know you were only joking, but it really hurt. And I get the opportunity to clean up my mess and go, I am so sorry. I love sarcasm, and sometimes my sarcasm can be a little prickly sometimes, and I'm really sorry about that. Please forgive me. And if they give you some feedback that feels like, oh, that hurt, take it to the Lord. Take it to the people around you. Hey, have you experienced me in this way? Lord, is this true what they're saying? Like I get surveys every 2 times a year, and people get to critique me or say what they love about me. And I love the things where they say they love me, but the hard ones are I couldn't connect with her, some difficult statement that I have to process. I have to look at that, not avoid it and go, well, whatever, that's just their problem. No, I'm going to look at it as a leader and say, is there any truth to this? And if there is truth to this, do I need to change my leadership style? I mean, that's how we grow. That's how we grow. We're not going to change to please everyone, but we want to make sure that I'm still creating a place of connection and safety. All right. Okay, finally, we're going to talk about some personalities. Again, the silent observer. We talked about, and lots of times they're introverts. They're the people who don't want to participate. They sit quietly. They want to be there, but they don't know how to interact. So you're going to connect with them and realize, okay, what are the underlying lies that they're probably listening to? I can't trust people. I have nothing important or valuable to say. Often um, that is one of the big lies that they're believing. I'm afraid of being misunderstood. I won't be able to articulate well. I'm going to be too much. I need to be right in order to be loved. These are some of the underlying things that can keep people from not sharing in your group. So encouraging, hey, I love it when you speak. You have so much wisdom and things to say, and our group really needs that. So those kinds of encouraging things, ask them, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of in the group? And listen to them. Some tips to deal with those people: prophesy, call out their greatness, open-ended questions, giving them time, When you want people to share in the group, hey, Jane, I'm going to ask Shelley to speak first, and then I'm going to come to you. This gives them some time to prepare so they're not caught off guard. And then show value. So you, for the leader, build trust and pull out the gold. The key for the silent observer would be grow in self-worth, identity, boldness, and risk-taking. The dominator, this is the person who dominates the question. Now, they can be a dominator by being obstinate, or they can be a dominator by, I have a spiritual son that can prophesy over somebody 45 minutes an hour without even taking a breath. I'm just joking, but he can do that. And so, healthy boundaries for them, direct communication. All right. The key for you as a leader is going to be loving but direct, and communicate clear boundaries. Okay, I'm going to set a timer. You've got 2 minutes to share. 30 seconds before they're done. Hey, you've got 30 seconds left. You know, really strong boundaries around them. Again, if they continue talking or interrupting, having a conversation later by themselves is, hey, this is how we're experiencing you in the group, and this is what I need you to do next week when you come. Just be honest. The key for the dominator, grow in self-awareness. That's going to be beautiful for them. Humility, self-awareness, and value for others. All right, the victim, they've always got a problem and they are powerless. So, for instance, I had a student one time who she was going to be homeless. It was like the third house she'd lived in. She had a really difficult time getting along with people. But I've lived in my car before, and so I lived in my van. I don't know what kind of van she has. Lots of people come and they live in RVs and vans, and so I was like, oh, okay. Well, later she came to me and was accusatory towards me that I wasn't what she needed as a pastor because I didn't take steps to help her get out of her homelessness, and and so she's blaming me and putting the responsibility onto me when I said to her, no, you said to me you were fine. You were going to be fine. You've lived in your van before, so I didn't think it was a problem. So, clearly communicating how you're experiencing them, as well as, okay, well, here we are now. So what are you going to do about being homeless? Have you applied any other places? Have you connected with our homeless shelter? Have you, do you have a job? Do you have income to pay a rent? If just those kinds of questions, pushing the decisions all back onto them. If it's in the small group, hey, thank you for sharing. Let's pray about that at the end of the group, and so that you can draw your group back to where you were. And again, ask Holy Spirit how you're supposed to lead them. You as a leader, you're going to take empower the person to take ownership of their life and their challenges. The key for the victim is to know that you're powerful and can solve your problems with God's help. The resistor, they have an opposite opinion about everything and usually share it. They often will bring in a heavy cloud over your group. Here's the deal. Talk to them personally about how you're experiencing them. Talk to your leader, whoever is the leader that's going to be over you, that's leading the group, about how you're going to not only minister, but how are you going to allow this person to stay within your group and yet be respectful and honoring, and those types of things. With the dominator, no, not the dominator, the resistant one or the obstinate one, you're going to look for repentance and for them to clean up their mess, and looking for ways that they can serve and honor their leader and honor their group. Honor focuses on empowering the people around us, no matter who they are or what their gender, age, status, or role is. Honor is led by love. And when we honor, we are protecting and nurturing our connections with each other. Our goal is to establish and maintain authentic relationships, rather than dominate another person. Honor communicates my relationship with you is more important than you doing what I want you to do. Um, so here are some key things for you. Pastor your group, be available physically, spiritually, and emotionally. I want to say again, with healthy boundaries. Spend time with them personally, exchange phone numbers, call or text them when they're absent from group. Pray for them in your own time. Call the gold out in them, walk them through life issues, encouraging and giving them support. Um, Again, be prepared every week, reviewing questions, topic, lessons ahead of time. Start with the end in mind. Where do you want them to go? Um, Again, group accountability, that's accounting for their abilities, not their disabilities. What are they learning while they're with you? Learning to confront the people you lead, confront in love by teaching them responsibility and keeping in mind that accountability is crucial. Um, yeah, I think that's it. I think that's it. So I'm excited for you guys. I'm excited to hear how your groups are going to go. I'm excited to get some feedback from Nathan and Lisa on how this has helped, and I'm sure they both were with me enough to know answers to questions. So I'm sure that you can reach out to them with questions. And anyways, I just want to bless you guys, and hopefully that was helpful. And yeah.